The world is changing. Inspiration is everywhere. It has never been so easy to connect, share, and bring people together. We're learning from others and finding the best in ourselves. Challenging our beliefs. Sharing our vulnerability. Overcoming our fears. Transforming ourselves so we can transform the world. How far can we go?
This is London Real. I am Brian Rose. My guest today is... This is London Real. I am Brian Rose. My guest today is Eric Philpott, recent graduate of our Speak to Inspire course. Welcome.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Eric, tell us a bit about you. Where are you from? What do you do?
I'm from Dallas, Texas, and I've been a pastor for the past 10 years and a business owner at the same time. So it's been interesting working out the balance of serving a congregation and serving the employees that work for me.
Okay.
So it's been interesting.
And what was going on in your life kind of externally and internally, you know, right around when you decided to join us in the academy? Like, what was going through your mind and why make that change in your life?
Well, being bivocational for a long time, well, let me just say it this way. My partner kind of went rogue on me last year. And the company that we started 2 years ago made $1.4 million, and then it made $3 million, and it's projected to make $5 million. And he's an attorney. And so he, I don't know exactly what happened to him, but I'm just going to say maybe never underestimate the power of greed. And so at the beginning of the year, he made some moves that required us to go to court. Well, in the meantime, the way I look at life is God closes doors that no man can open, and he opens doors that no man can close. And if that door is closing, then he's opening another door. And I've been asking the Lord for years, Lord, I want to serve you full time. And it's difficult when you're running a business at the same time. And when I saw that, I was like, it closed the door. Well, if I'm going to go and speak the gospel into people's lives, I want to be as proficient as possible. And following you, following London Real, and just the helps that has been, just for the mindset, when I saw the Speak to Inspire and it was going to start, and I thought, well, if that's going to be my vocation, speaking, I better get good at it. And you can go and join something like Toastmasters, which is a little stuffy, and it's not really me. And just your personality, the way I've seen you work with people, I thought this will probably be better, more suited for me, and joined.
Wow. And why London Real?
Why London Real? Well, there's not anything like it out there. I just haven't seen it. You know, you can go all over the place, and obviously with the internet, you can explore anything when it comes to speaking. But what you're doing, the people that you're interviewing, the insights that you're gaining, I want to be able to talk with people like that, because when people open up, it's powerful, their testimonies. And what I've learned is that when people start talking, they start to answer their own questions. You know, and it just takes somebody listening. So many people, they don't have anybody that listens to them. And if you can just sit there and listen to their story, sometimes they unpack the direction they need to go, or they even answer their own questions. And then they thank you for it. I'm like, I'm just listening.
Or are you?
Yeah.
Or are you healing them and channeling things? You know?
Praise God, I hope so.
Yeah.
I hope so.
Yeah.
And that's what I've seen with this. Even when you look through the threads of London Real, to answer your question, or at least continue on it, when you look at thank yous and the helps and stuff like that, that has to be an encouragement to you. Because I know when people say to me, thank you so much for taking the time to help me through whatever this is. And that's a reward. That's a reward, helping people.
Yeah, I remember one of the first times that happened, someone stopped me on the street and they said, Brian, that video changed my life. And I was like, okay, cool, thank you. And he said, no, Brian, it changed my life. And I always forget sometimes that perfect message at the perfect time in someone's life can really make a difference. And
Yes.
I think our content does that sometimes that I don't even realize sometimes. And, you know, probably with some of your sermons and your contact with people, that one thing can literally mean a different path for people.
Yeah, when you hear somebody say, that whole thing was for me, you know, I'll preach a message, and sometimes when you're preaching or when you're teaching, and you're a teacher, you're kind of shooting down in a hole, you know, and you just, if it hits somebody, that's wonderful because you don't know what the impact is. But when somebody says, that whole thing, I'm sorry everybody else had to endure that, that was all for me. And, you know, it meant a lot, or it changed them. When I see that, I just want to see people go to the next level.
Yeah.
You know, that's what I want to see.
Yeah.
And when you see it, it's like, okay, this is happening.
Yeah,
This is good.
powerful.
Yeah, it's very powerful.
So you pull the trigger, you join this course, and I throw you in this group with all these weird people from around the world, right?
Yes.
Probably countries you've never been to. These people are representing, I'm asking you to upload videos and probably all sorts of crazy stuff. What is that first 2 weeks like?
The first 2 weeks, I thought it was very empowering and exciting. At first, I was a little nervous, which I've been speaking for a while, so I don't usually get. I usually channel any anxiety as being excited, but with this, I was a little nervous because it was probably the first group in a long time that I've been a part of, where your peer students are not predominantly Christian, right? And I thought, okay, so. I love people. I love souls. Even walking through London, I look around and I just see souls, you know, and I'm just like, you know, and sometimes you can see the pain in people's eyes. Mm-hmm. So even being in this, I got into some conversations early on with a few folks, and one of the gentlemen in our class, he had never met a Christian from his country. You know, he'd heard about him. And he told me,
our man from Saudi Arabia.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Is it Muhammad?
Muhammad.
Yeah.
Muhammad.
I love
beautiful soul.
Yeah.
Beautiful soul. And him and I got on Zoom afterwards, after the first class. We stayed long on the first class, and Naga stayed in there as well, and just some great stuff. Wu stayed in there, right. And I've had great conversations with Wu. But Muhammad, he was like, you know what? You're not like what I hear about when it comes to Christians. And I was like, well, they're out there. Whatever you've heard, I'm sure they're there. But that's not what it's about. You know, it's about loving folks. And we got into some great conversations about religion and philosophy and business. And we talked for a couple hours. And I'm looking forward to meeting him in person today.
That's crazy. I love watching that come together. You know, where it's like, I got this guy from Saudi Arabia and I got this Christian preacher in Dallas, and you guys are getting on a private call afterwards. And
oh, yeah.
I mean, that's amazing, you know, because you look at the people and it's all diverse. I mean, I got people in military uniforms and all of this stuff, but everyone's there for a common purpose, which is to make themselves better and hopefully make the world better. So it's great to hear that energy just from the start. From the start. That's nice to hear.
Yeah. So my any anxiety that I had was eliminated within the first, I think it was a team call. No, it was right after the live call with you.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, we just stayed on.
And it's true because you're used to speaking in front of a group of people that are, you know, in the same town you're in, obviously same religion or thinking about that. And now you're on video, which is kind of detached, people all over the world. It's a different experience, isn't it?
It is, very much so.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, getting used to the camera was the toughest part. And even doing it live, that was a little more difficult. Because, and you're speaking live when you're talking with folks, but it's different when you're looking at a camera.
You're looking at yourself.
You're looking at yourself, and it feels weird. So it took some getting used to, and I was apprehensive to do the live videos to Facebook first. So I was recording it. So I had a bunch of bloopers, but within a couple of weeks, I posted some of the bloopers, and it was funny. It was encouragement. You know, people are like, okay, so everybody's going through the same thing, you know, and but you overcome that. You know, because you ultimately realize there are folks on the other side, and it's going to make an impact. And so that makes the difference.
Yeah, and they need to see that you're not perfect. And then the truth is if you really want to change the world, you got to be on video, because that's where you can make a mass scale transformation. And then the more you do that live, you get used to it. And the truth is that life is live, you know, and whether you're here with me now or on a stage or, you know, and doing a sermon, it's a skill you need, and you're obviously getting it. So
yeah, no, it was good. It was something I needed,
Okay.
Very much. I needed to stare at myself in a lens for
What
a little while.
what was the hardest part of the course? What was the biggest challenge?
I think the biggest challenge was speaking to an inanimate object. It really was talking to the camera. A lot of times I'm extemporaneous when I speak, although you do a lot of planning and preparation, and I spend time with the Lord and you have notes, but oftentimes it's extemporaneous. When you're doing it on video, you feel like it has to be perfect, you know, where you're talking to somebody face to face and it's just reality. So it's okay if I screw up or if I stutter. But looking at the camera, that was the toughest part, because anytime I did anything that was consciously aware that was a mistake, or that was the wrong direction, or I said the wrong word, or I boxed myself in, then I just stop it. So I did that over and over, and I was like, okay, we're going live, and just forget it.
Nice, because you're a perfectionist. A bit.
I'm not a perfectionist. I just like to get close.
Okay, right. And that's a good thing until it stops you from moving forward.
Well, yes. What I've really incorporated in my life is a pursuit of excellence. And so when I see myself, and my greatest competition is me, it's not really anybody else. And so as I'm trying to help other people get to the next level, if they want help, I do want help, and so I try to get to the next level. And so it's not perfection, although it comes across that way to a lot of people. It's just a pursuit of excellence. Right. And so am I doing better than yesterday? You know, and that's kind of where I'm at.
Yeah.
So it does look like perfection. Sometimes it feels like it, I guess, but it's just excellent.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat, for good or bad. What was your biggest win on this course? Something you're most proud of?
The biggest win? Well, obviously overcoming the video, but I think the biggest win was being able to communicate with folks and be me. And it wasn't me trying to, a lot of people say you're trying to ram your religion down my throat or something like that. You just love people, encourage people, help people. People know that I'm a Christian. And I'm going to operate that way. I'm not going to change who I am, but just the way, I guess, the friendships that are developed. I mean, I feel like I'm going to know Muhammad for a long time, and Naga, and some that couldn't make it. You know, there's some great points of encouragement too. So the wins actually were the times where people were struggling and you could encourage them. You know, we talk about experiencing resistance, and it's a big deal, and it's usually right here, most of it. And I remember one time, one of the DeAndrea, she was kind of struggling just to get this in, and I went drill sergeant on her. She's in the military, I was in the military, so I started speaking to her, you know, like, that you're gonna get this done. You're a hard charging, low drag, high speed soldier, and you can get this stuff done. She's like, "Hooah, yeah!" And, so that was it was neat to encourage people. So you have that opportunity with this, and so that was good.
Yeah. What did you see from this community? I mean, towards the end of the course, like, what was the biggest impression that they left on you after you started seeing all their speeches and things like that?
Wow, they really went to the next level from the start to the finish. It was amazing to see somebody that was quiet, a little timid, really never did any speaking in front of other people. And then from the beginning, where you saw that until the end, they're like a totally different person, for the better, for the better. But, you know, Ava shocked everybody and blew us away because she was so shy in the beginning. But then at the end, I mean, she did this Superman deal, and she was, you know, hands up, and she was very excited. And she ultimately won our speeches, and she well deserved. And it was just awesome to see the transformations. I love seeing that in people too. It's what I really like about these courses.
What's next for you? What do you want to do in the next 6 or 12 months with your speaking, really, more than anything, or your impact? What are you looking to do with all this stuff now?
Well, we're starting a podcast, and I've joined Broadcast Yourself as well. Awesome. And I've done a pilot so far with a couple of folks. I've got a couple of interviews set up in a few weeks.
How's that going? You liking it?
Yeah, I do. Well, you're actually able to sit down and talk with somebody and hear their story. So one of the gentlemen that I'll be speaking with next week, he was, and this Some of the topics that I'll talk about are going to be controversial because it's associated with Christianity and what our beliefs are. But he's a former transgender, and he was going through the process, and he got saved midway through, quit that, and now he's ministering in the community, in the LGBTQ community. And so we were down at the Gay Pride Parade in Dallas just a few weeks ago talking with folks, and it was amazing just to love on people, just to care about them, care about their souls, and offer water and some snacks and things like that, get in some conversations. And some of them were very real. When people realize that you care about them, it changes. They're like, you really care about what's going on in my life. I said, yeah, absolutely. And then sadly, some shared some horrific things that happened to them. They're just pouring their heart out and getting vulnerable with you, and you just want to pray with them and see them whole and healthy and growing and going to the next level. So it'll be a neat conversation with him.
Okay.
He's got a lot of love.
Okay. So you're going to put these broadcasts out with your podcast. Would you ever do online sermons and that kind of thing?
Yes.
Okay.
And that's another thing that I'd like to do, and I've been working on it. Again, speaking to the camera is a little bit different, so I'm still getting used to that. It's easier if I'm talking with somebody in an interview as opposed to taking like how to deal with depression and then unpacking that, how to deal with anxiety and unpacking that, how to deal with anger and unpacking that for somebody and what Scripture says about it. And I think you can do that, and it'll be very helpful. So the discipleship aspect, what I want to do with the new tools that I have in speaking is just to help people get to the next level. And if I can do that with me sitting there and talking to a camera about how to overcome some struggles, because somebody can be doing really good taking information that they find on the internet or whatever it is and start to apply that to their life. But if they have a problem with anger, all that can be shattered in an instant. Yeah. So how do we deal with that? Or they're doing really good, but they battle with depression. And once it starts, it takes them to a very dark place where they abandon all these positive things that were going for them, and they get to that place where they just feel like quitting. So those are the areas that I want to help with. What I saw even with London Real is it's taking somebody, I think, who's, I don't want to say necessarily healthier, but they don't have those particular issues. And so they're wanting to expand their careers. They're wanting to expand their horizons. They're wanting to move forward. They're wanting to become the person that God designed them to be. And I want them to get there too. But addressing those areas that are just devastating impacts like unforgiveness, where they just have a visceral hatred for somebody because they harm them, and that holds people back. They get stuck in the past, and it just binds them. It's bondage. And so helping people break the bondage so they can be successful.
Did your congregation notice any change in you over the course, or did they say anything to you? Or?
Absolutely. Yes, they did. Well, when we first talked, I was talking, you said, what is your greatest weakness? And I said, well, I think I can talk to folks, and if you let me talk long enough, I'll say some funny stuff, but I want to put some nuggets of truth in there. But my biggest weakness was just getting action at the end. Right. It's like people would say, man, that was a really good message, but it didn't change them. It didn't compel them to do something with it. And so what they've noticed with the bulletproof actions, at the end of every message, I don't necessarily always call it. Initially I was, all right, here we go, bulletproof action number 1. Right. I'm only going to give you one. It's going to be small. You can do it. The Kaizen way. And but they did. They've noticed it, and we've seen some growth because of it. People are willing to do more, commit to more, and they want to grow. And so it's almost just asking. It's strange because some people need to be told what to do. Yeah. They want to do something. They just don't know exactly what it is, and you just give a little direction. Sometimes that's all it takes, and that's the catalyst for them to grow. And so I've seen that. Now, on a different note, some folks don't like being challenged, and so they decide that they don't want to attend anymore, something along those lines, because they're asked to do something now. instead of just sit there. You know, the ministry of presence is awesome, but now we're going to go out and we're going to take this message to the world. And it's like, I don't know if I want to do that. So we've seen more growth than loss, but I have seen that too. And I think you'll see that with anything. You know, it's like there's something I say now that's trying to think of what it is, but people will do what they want to do, and they'll make excuses for everything else. And when you eliminate the excuses, you know, then they have to just leave or do it, you know, execute or make excuses. But
And you're okay with that?
I am.
Yeah.
I am. I think that with the church today, you have a lot of what they call feel-good messages. There's not a lot of challenges to make positive change in your life. And there certainly isn't the real move to see people whole or saved. You know, it's kind of the build it and they will come, you know, kind of the Field of Dreams model for the church today, as opposed to what Jesus said, and that is go and make disciples. You know, so if we get together on a Sunday for a huddle during the week, we're on mission. And so it's not compartmentalizing our faith, it's really living it out daily.
Yeah.
And not everybody's wanting that.
No, and I think it's smart. You're seeing that, and you know, some people want, like you said, that feel-good message, that entertainment, and they come in for that, and then don't push my boundaries or question my own behavior. But you know, that actually is your job. You know, your job is to lead these people and to get them to embrace that change. So
if they'll see it, you know, some people don't want to do that, but if they'll see it, it's so powerful and so liberating when you live an authentic, genuine life of honesty and sincerity, and you don't have anything that you're hiding. You know, you're just, I'm living for Jesus, and people see that, and a lot of times they'll go, I need some of whatever you've got, because there's joy. And some people they'll watch you walk through something that's really tough. You know, this deal that the church watched me walk through with my business partner, I was praying for him, asking for prayer, loving as much as I could, not speaking negatively, and truly telling them that if God is closing the door, I can't open it. And so maybe he's called me to do something else. And people watch you. They're kind of like, you know, is this real? Is this guy real? Or is he going to, you know, start bad-mouthing the guy and all this other stuff? It'd be easy to do.
yeah,
But I forgive people very easily after the Lord showed me something that I can't get over. I just can't get over it.
strong, man, really strong. How have you changed? If we went out on the streets and met Eric that didn't take this course, how is he different than you are?
Well, I've always had some boldness to me, you know, to go out and talk with folks. But when I talk with folks now, there's definitely, if I listen to them a little while, then I'll kind of know how to talk to them. And, you know, Paul in the Bible, he says, know those that you labor with. And so as you listen to folks, you kind of know how they operate. And so you begin to speak in a way that they can receive what you're saying. And some of the tools, even from this course, has helped. If some person is focused on statistics, for instance, and they love hearing that, then and you can glean that from a very short conversation if that's the direction that they're leaning. So you can start putting some statistics into your conversation, and they're like, okay, yeah, exactly. And if they have a certain person that they like to hear, or they're quoting something, then you could use quotes. So some of the tools that you learn in how to do a speech or a presentation actually transcends into your conversations as well. It actually becomes you.
Yeah.
You know, Paul said, I've become all things to all men so that some might be saved. And so adding this in the toolbox helps.
Yeah, very much so. Last question, what would you say to someone who's on the fence, thinking about taking a Speak to Inspire course or Broadcast Yourself, but isn't sure? What would you say?
Well, I think what everybody says is pull the trigger and just do it. But a lot of people have a lot of fears, and they don't have to fear this. This is something that is an encouragement. You know, people need to invest in themselves, and they need to take the time to do that. And this is one of the best places that I've seen to invest in yourself. It's going to cost some money. It's going to cost some time. It's going to cost commitment. and you're going to challenge yourself, but you grow. You know, even flying here, people have to invest in themselves more. You know, we pour out to other people, but we have to invest in ourselves. And that's one of the things that I did with this. I was like, you know, I'm constantly giving, and you deplete yourself to some degree, and you need to invest in yourself. When I was flying here, they go through the whole, if you crash into a mountain, which is very encouraging when you're getting on a plane, or if we crash into the ocean, this is, you know, you're under your seat, or your seat cushion is a flotation device. If we crash into the ocean, by the way, you're not going to want to use my cushion to float on. But they do say the one thing where the air mask falls down. And they always tell you, put yours on first before helping somebody else with theirs. And I think that any of these courses, I haven't been through the Life Accelerator course, but I'm sure that is phenomenal. That's kind of like the air mask falling down. Put it on so that you can help others. And I think that's what this does. That's what you're doing for folks, is you're helping them invest in themselves.
Yeah, that's what we're trying to do. So, Eric, I just want to thank you for being a part of this. It was just great having you on that course, and just the way you went all in. And, you know, from a guy that came from a speaking background, you could have easily said, okay, I'm not going to do that part, I'm not going to do that part. But you really turned yourself over to the whole process and didn't bring any ego to the table, and then you just started soaring, which is amazing. And I love the fact that you pushed yourself to get in front of the camera, and now you're doing the podcast as well. And
Yes.
I just see you in the future being this guy that everyone knows on YouTube as the guy that brings this message. You got a great character, you got a great energy, great spirit. I could feel it on Zoom, I can feel it even more here. And the world needs you to just get these messages out there, I think. And you could touch people all over the world, you know. And I know you said you're in London here, and you see a homeless person and you sit down and pray with them. I mean, imagine doing that on a digital basis too, you know. I see big things happening. So
Praise God.
thank you for everything you're doing. I look forward to your podcast. And yeah, just appreciate you a lot, and welcome to the family.
Can I say one thing?
Yes, sir.
I was thinking, even with this course that I took, and then the broadcast yourself, the last 30 years, when I look back, I think I was 16 years old. You know, I look 30 years into the future, and I'm 67, right? And I'm thinking, what do I want to do with the next 30 years? And I want to dedicate myself to building the kingdom. And there's certain tools that I'm going to need to do that with excellence, and London Real is helping me to do that, and I'm thankful.
Well, it's a huge honor. So thank you for saying that. And it's our pleasure, man. That's why we're here. So
Praise God.
It's great to see you doing great things.
Amen.
All right,
Amen.
man. Let's get to it, man.
I love it.
All right,
I love
thanks
it.
so much, Eric. I really
Praise
appreciate
God.
it.
Thank you.
At London Real, we believe that individual transformation can change the world. Join us and start your journey today.